So one of the key questions that I've been receiving is, Nhyira, can I include a reference in my CV? And if I should include a reference in my CV, that means that I cannot have a one-page CV as I suggested in an earlier video. One thing that you have to understand is that the short answer is no. It is not necessary to include a reference. Why is that? Because according to HR experts and consultants, at the initial stage or early stages of the recruitment process, your reference is not necessary. So instead, what you could do is that to boost your application and your chances of getting the job, instead of adding a reference, you have to rather add a recommendation letter from your former employer. That will be better. So instead of bringing a reference, rather you can attach a recommendation letter. That gives you a boost on your possibility of you being selected for an interview, which is going to be the next stage of the recruitment process. So the short answer is no. But one thing you must understand is this: you have to include or possibly add a note at the foot of the CV reading something like this, that reference will be provided upon request. But there are principles you must understand as to who qualified to be an appropriate reference for a job. The common mistakes that many job applicants make is when they are asked of a reference, they rather provide the name, contact, email address of someone who they know as prominent, someone they know as successful. They are pastors, they are, mentors, they are teachers, that kind of thing as a reference. But that is a bombshell. Why? Because a reference should be somebody who has supervised your work professionally or you have worked closely with. Listen to that carefully. A reference should be somebody who has supervised your work professionally or you have worked closely with. So if the agency, if the firm, if the employer asks you of a reference and you provide a name of your mentor, you provide a name of your pastor, you provide a name of someone you know in your community, your teacher, but you had never worked closely with the person has not supervised any of your work, that's a bombshell. You are not going to get the job because the employer wants to know this person who is recommending, this person who is standing in for you, this person who is testifying about you, whether they have had any relationship, any work relationship of you. And that is very crucial. So should you include it when you are applying? No. But when you are requested, always include only people who have supervised your work or have worked closely with you. Now, somebody will say, Nhyira, what if I'm new to the job field? I don't have any experience, because ideally, the reference should be your former place of work. So what if you have not worked, this is your first time you're going into the work field? That is why volunteering is important. So let's say you finished university, you've not had job yet, but you have volunteered for an NGO or volunteered for other organizations, and you've worked literally for no fee, but then you've worked with them, you've offered knowledge and expertise if there is any, and then you've gained some experience. Now, when you are going to apply for a job, you can go to that NGO you volunteered for and talk to the CEO, talk to the head, talk to someone who supervised your work and say that, or request that, okay, I'm going to apply for a job now. Can you write a recommendation letter for me, or can I use you as a reference so that in case the HR firm contacts you, you will tell them how I devoted myself in this organization? And 99.9% of the time, they're going to say yes. So you don't have an excuse. So do not include a reference at the early stage of the application. When you are applying for the job, don't include it. If the firm is interested in you, they will request for a reference. And if they should request for a reference, please don't provide the contact of your pastor. Don't provide a contact of your pastor if you have not volunteered and working in church. Don't provide a contact of someone successful you know. Don't provide a contact of your teacher. Don't provide a contact of any other person who has not really supervised or work closely with you, because that is what the HR firm, the employer, is looking for when they request for a reference. So that is what you must understand when it comes to the role of reference in the job application process.